Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Hey, and good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to Catch Our Drift. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on, dude.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm not feeling quite up to par. I've been off for a week. I think just wore myself out with vacation and partying a little too hard and that sort of thing. So
I'll try and carry the weight here.
I'm glad you did. So I when I called you today, I knew you thought I was not
I was
coming,
scared.
Right? No, but we'll get through the show here. We've got Congressman Tim Walberg, I think, calling in at the end, bottom of the hour. So hopefully we'll have some good updates from him. And what we do on the Drift every Saturday is go over the news that we put on the dailydrift.com. It's
the news you need to know.
See, you're off a little bit today, too.
I had a frog in my throat for a half second there. Can we do it over?
Stop eating frogs, dude.
Yes.
They're an endangered species
Poor
if you were to
Kermit.
believe the climate scammers,
Yeah.
right? No, I'm seeing a lot of frogs around lately. And they go through cycles like everything else,
It's
right?
not easy being green.
Nice. Okay, let's take care of a little business. Music on the patio at Burroughs Roadhouse. If you have not been to Burroughs Roadhouse, you
What's
should
the
be
matter
going,
with
though.
you?
Yeah, it's a great place. Good atmosphere, good music, good food. They've got gluten-free menus now, and there's all kinds of great stuff on the menu. They do a brunch on Sundays, which is fabulous. Mondays, burger and a brew for $6. Where do you get a burger and a beer for $6, right?
There? At Burroughs.
At Burroughs, yes.
Yeah, that's the point.
And there's coupons in the Current. You can go to currentonline.com. That's COURANT online.com if you don't get a hard copy of the Current. Coupons in there, and you can reach Burroughs 810-227-6000. If you're going to do dinner, I highly recommend calling ahead because they do get busy. Or you can go to burroughs-roadhouse.com. 810-227-6000. Burroughs Roadhouse. West Brighton out there. It's a really nice place. Go see it. Check it out. Have a drink. Eric's still bartending, I think. Have you been out there lately?
Not for a while. Not for a bit.
All right. So Eric's normally the bartending is good. Well, there's a lot to talk about. We got a short amount of time here to try and get into it. And we're going to start with the Strzok testimony.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm just about speechless, and I can feel my blood pressure rising right now because when I looked at that dirty SOB, smirking, smug, laughing, whatever, that SOB belongs in jail.
You were so calm until I showed you that GIF a minute ago. Oh man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're on Twitter, and I'm going to tell you, here's a little gift. If you're a Twitter guy or Twitter gal, go to Thomas Wictor, Wictor, Google him up or look him up, search him up, and add him as one of your Twitter people. Thomas Wictor, one of the smartest guys on the internet, without a doubt. Got a great story. I think I've told you this before. He's like the only expert in the entire world on flamethrowers.
You told me this once before. I mean, I'm
guy,
not accusing you of repeating yourself, but I'm paying attention.
This guy you'll want to think he's out there, but he's just intelligent, right? So follow him. And when you see a thread from him, go back and read the whole thread from him. And it's entertaining. He doesn't do it in a dry, nasty way. He's funny, and he pulls things in. It's a great read. Every time I see a thread from Thomas Wictor, I'm on it, But how angry can this guy is literally taking his finger and putting up the middle one and sticking it right in the American people's face. Right on public television for us. And we have to sit there and put up with that?
Yeah. That whole, I'd like to tell you, but I can't tell you. I have directions that I can't tell you. And in fact, we should listen to that right now where Jordan and the oversight.
You got the tracks?
Yeah. Derek?
Which one?
The one about Jordan not telling oversight.
Okay, let's go. I'm glad you did these because I just didn't have time to pull it up. But I was so angry. I was like, oh.
I can't see Derek through the eyes in the back of my head.
He's got it. Here we go.
Okay.
It is as frustrating to me as it is to you. I can tell you, sir, that I would love...
Well, you know what, Agent Strzok? Mr. Chairman, may the witness be permitted to answer.
If it's so...
Gentlemen will suspend.
If it's so frustrating, answer the question.
If you'll allow him to, I'm sure he will.
He has never answered the question, who
Stop
Warren Simpson
interrupting
are.
him.
And we're about to move on where Mr. Strzok can answer a question that he refused to answer earlier on advice of counsel. And I'm going to yield to Mr. Gowdy for the purpose of doing that right now.
Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Gowdy starts, may I respond to Mr. Jordan?
Very briefly.
Very briefly, sir. I would love to do that. There is an appropriate time for oversight, and as you well know, that is at the end of an investigation once it's concluded. I am certain Congress will absolutely have the opportunity to look at any investigation once it's closed, ask all these questions, and I would love to answer each and every one of your questions.
Mr. Strzok,
once the FBI allows me.
We already know that answer from you, and you have already been advised that you can answer the questions here, because guess what? This is the United States Congress where you're testifying, not under the jurisdiction of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Mr. Chairman, we cannot be asking about an ongoing investigation that is sabotaging an ongoing investigation by this committee. And that's what he's not cooperating with, and we should not do it.
It is
and he cannot cooperating with that.
These questions are table-setting questions regarding the formation of this, and he can answer those questions, but
he cannot answer questions regarding an ongoing investigation.
That he can, and so Mr. Gowdy's
advised by the FBI that he cannot.
No, he's been advised that he can, and Mr. Gowdy's going to again ask his question.
Okay. Number one, this is domestic spying case, whatever. Who's in danger?
Yeah.
If this gets declassified, why is it classified? It's a domestic case.
Yeah.
Who's in danger? Nobody. There is not one agent in the field for the FBI who would be in danger because he was investigating Donald Trump or some Russian collusion guys or whoever over here. That's nonsense, and I don't want to hear it one more time from that scumbag. Strzok.
The point is he says, I can answer all your questions at the end of the investigation. Well, wouldn't that then endanger their sources at the end of the investigation?
Yes.
2 is, this is a never-ending investigation. This is never-ending. There is no conclusion to this investigation to say, now we can tell you. 3, he keeps getting these messages back and forth. I have permission to talk to you. And then, I don't have permission to say this. And like I said, this is oversight. The whole point is to investigate the investigation. Should this what is going on with this investigation? Is this a proper investigation? Is there bias? Is there animus? Have you, Strzok, been trying to overthrow the government of the United States? That's the investigation of Congress.
And that's the one. And I said this last week. This was an attempt to subvert the will of the people of the United States of America. This man committed treason. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's hard to prove in a court of law. I don't know. I'm sure there are plenty of military people who have been swung from the gallows for treason for a lot less than this. And this SOB and his girlfriend and anyone else who instructed them and allowed them to do what they did should be swinging from gallows, and their name should go down in the history book for the next 500 years so that the people of the United States of America can say Benedict Arnold and Peter Strzok, scumbag traitors to the United States of America, and they should have been hung.
It's an attempted coup.
It is an attempted coup.
It's an attempted coup. You know, the one that's the cut here about the ATPM. Would you like to hear that one?
Yeah.
Derek? Trey Gowdy, ATPM?
See if you can recall this text that you received. Finally, 2 pages away from finishing ATPM. Do you know the president resides in the end? What is ATPM?
I believe it's a reference to the book All the President's Men.
All right. Do you recall how you replied?
Generally, I feigned surprise and said something to the effect that we should be so lucky or fortunate.
No, it was lucky. Lucky in what way?
Sir, that he would resign as president.
You wanted him to resign 2 months into his presidency?
Sir, my sense was, in a personal belief, that I was not pleased with the direction and things that were being done with the presidency.
I thought you trusted the American people. I thought that was what you said in August of 2016, that the American people would stop him, and then they didn't stop him, and here we are in March, all of a sudden not trusting the American people anymore.
Sir, I utterly trust the American people. What I worry about is when the government of Russia puts their fingers on the scale and causes the will of the Americans to be something other than America.
Yeah. How many indictments have there been of Americans for collusion with Russia?
Sir, I couldn't answer that question.
Sure, you could.
Well, when
You worked on the
when you
investigation.
say the first, you know full well, sir, collusion is not a crime. I don't know where that term came from, but
Well,
there-
you're
there
right.
have
It's
been
not.
scores of
It's
Americans
not conspiracy, coordination, collusion. A lot of people use those words in the same way. How about we say conspiracy?
Sure.
How many Americans have been indicted for conspiring with Russia to impact the 2016 election?
None, to my knowledge.
Yet.
And we'll be happy to get Mr. Nadler
No,
as a
it's
witness
more
at
like
next week's
niet.
hearing if he wants to help you answer that. So,
All right. So
Yeah.
there is nothing there. This man committed a crime against you and me and Derek and every single person in the United States of America, including those that didn't vote for Trump, because you're usurping the authority and the will of the people and the process of our election. That guy is the one that should be indicted and he should swing from the gallows. Send him to Leavenworth, build the gallows, and let's publicize it. Put it on television. I want to see it.
Do you think he'd smirk on the gallows?
That GIF that you showed me. Because as I'm watching him on television, the look on his face, evil.
You know, what I noticed
Evil.
when I watched what I watched, and I'm not retired, I can't spend all day watching, these, but I watched as much as I could in the evening news on Fox and some of the other shows, and then on YouTube. And what I found was that these guys each got 5 minutes, and a lot of them gave their time to Gowdy or gave their time to Jordan. So they might say something, I give the remaining time to Gowdy, which was a good thing. They should have all given all their time to Gowdy and Jordan, really. Regardless, he would get into the 5-minute mark and the time is up. And then that's when he got that look on his face, that dancing in his chair, beat the rap on that one, smirking and smiling and just all self-congratulatory. And then the next question would start, and then he'd settle down and he'd get real serious looking and he'd listen intently. And then, then he might get combative, but then that 5 minutes would be up and then it's like, got out of that one too. It's is this how people act?
This guy couldn't have done worse to me if he had taken his finger and put it up to the television screen and said, "Screw you, Gary," because that's what he did to each and every human being here in the United States, including those who didn't vote for Trump. Because what he's doing, if they can do it to Trump, next time they'll do it to somebody else, and it could be a Democrat.
Yeah.
These people think they are above the law. This is a political elite class. This is a new class of people here. It's no longer Americans rich and poor. It's the political elite. It's like right out of a movie. These people think they can get away with whatever they want. There is no longer a law that applies to people like Peter Strzok, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Susan Rice, and the rest of them. They can get away with whatever they want. We would be in jail if any of us had done what he has
The
done.
movie you're thinking of is 7 Days in May. It was a movie where Burt Lancaster was president. Richard Widmark was his aide, and actually was Burt Lancaster wanted to overthrow the president of the United States, and Richard Widmark had a crisis of conscience. His personal loyalty to this guy who's mentored him his whole career, and he's a colonel, and Burt Lancaster's general.
I think I remember that movie.
Oh, it's a very good movie because Richard Widmark has to make a decision, and he basically turns on a friend to save the republic.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the reference to all the president's men. It's all about Nixon, all about forcing Nixon to resign, and over what? Over a break-in, over a cover-up of a burglary. I mean, that's all. But it was the overreaching thing that they hated Nixon, and they were looking for any pretext to get rid of Nixon, just like they're looking for any pretext to get rid of Trump. So it really is all the president's men forcing him to resign. It's like a bloodless coup.
Yeah, and people need. This is why the November election is so important, people. If you watched those scumbag Democrats who were trying to protect this man, who were trying to obfuscate and keep things from coming out, and defending him, you just can't. It's unallowable. We need to get rid of senators who are Democratic. We need to get rid of Congress people who are Democratic. That Cohen fella saying you should get a Purple Heart. Are you kidding me? Every veteran in the country should be.
That. I will say, I know.
He should, and he should apologize to each and every armed currently in the armed forces, and veteran. Because you know what? That's a disgrace. That man should not be on Capitol Hill because a